Hey friends, Kevin here with Texas Yardman and More. Today I'm shooting a quick video on how some of my fruit trees are coming along in my backyard, my grapes. Just a little recap of everything growing in my backyard food forest. And I wanted to feature two new fruit trees that I have here. This one here is my Gold Nugget Loquat. This is a fruit tree. It gives off little fruit that looks kind of like the size of a golf ball. And here I've got the tag still on it, so it's a Gold Nugget Loquat, and it does well here in Texas. I'm here in Central Texas, so I figured I'd give this a shot and see how it does. Sometimes we do get some colder temperatures, but I think if that happens, I may try to insulate it with a lot of mulch and maybe blankets if I had to, but we're going to see how it does here. It's in full sun, and some fruit trees do really well, so we're going to see how this does, and I'll just document it as I go and do some update videos and so forth. But this was bought at Lowe's, a big box store, so they usually, generally speaking, sell trees that are good for your area, so loquat is one of them, and wanted to show you that. So right now I don't see any fruit growing off of it. It's about a 3.5 4 foot tall tree right now, and I can't wait to see what comes with this. So by the end of the summer we'll see if it's grown some and maybe even fruited. We'll see. And here is my new fig tree. It's actually got figs on it. You can see them right there. And I've got some growing right there and some there. And in one of my other videos, I had featured a beautiful tree I had here in my yard up next to my house, which was over in this general direction, right where that patio is right now. We had that cold snap, caused it to die. It was a beautiful tree. It was probably as high as the roof top there, and I used to get great figs off of it. It was the Cadota fig, and this time I bought a different style of fig, and I'm really liking this fig tree already. This is a Celeste fig, and I also bought this at Lowe's, so we're gonna see how this does. It gets full sun, so I'm assuming that this will grow nicely. And right now it is probably it's probably up to my belly, and I'm guessing that's about 3.5 feet. So I'm kind of excited to see how this does, and I'll document this one as well. And got some roses over here, really blooming nicely. Real pretty roses. These are rock roses, and they bloom year-round, even in the fall, spring, winter. Winter they kind of die off a little bit, but they'll have blooms on them all the way through December. And next to that, these are my Concord Grapes. I've featured this in another one of my videos if you want to go back and look at it. But this grapevine has grown nicely. It's got a new shoot coming across the top, and you can see it is in the flowering phase right now, and then those will turn into grape clusters eventually. And you can see down in here, get some clusters of new flowers getting ready to bloom, and then fruit. And then here you can actually see grapes that have started to grow. So we got a nice little cluster right in here, another cluster in here, and it's all throughout this vine. I got clusters everywhere. So this is my Concord grape. And this is a well-established vine. It's had its struggles, but it always comes back every year. And got nice groups of grapes that are going to be growing all throughout this vine. And I'll probably try to encourage it to grow that on both sides. It seems to always want to go this way, but I'm going to try to get it to grow this way along the fence. Now I've been watering it and feeding it, so get some delicious grapes this year, hopefully. We'll take a little walk down here. This is a little citrus tree. It's a lemon. Never gotten any lemons off of it, except for the first year that I bought it in a container. I think there was some lemons on it. And that one over there in the distance is a lime. Here's my little Orinoco banana that it dies off in the winter, and then the stolons come up from underneath. And this will probably be 3 foot, 4 foot by the end of summer. So they always seem to grow again every year. And then over here on this left side, you can see some additional growth here. These are Thompson seedless grapes, and the vine has continued to grow all along this fence. And I'll take you over to where it's planted. Here's the base of it. That's where it's growing from, and you can see it's gone and crawled all along this fence all the way over in that direction. And I'm starting to see clusters on it right here. So these will blossom and then they'll turn into grapes. So it's in the flowering phase right now. And it's just fun watching these grapes grow. Some years you get really good years, and then some years it doesn't seem like it does really well, and you just kind of have to learn your plants, what it likes and what it doesn't like. And it goes all the way over here. Not a whole lot of foliage here at the end of it. You can see, I'll try to zoom in. So that vine will probably continue to grow along this back fence even more. So I'll do an update video later in the season and see how it does. And then here's my garden. This is some lettuce on the left. Here we got some chives growing in between the carrots. These are carrots. And then to the right here with all the leaves are radishes. And you can actually eat the leaves off of the radish plant. So like these, you can come out with a knife and just cut all these leaves, and you can eat them in salad and enjoy them just like lettuce. And here are my onions. These are onions here growing. So this was probably planted back at the end of March. Oh, no, I'm sorry, the end of February. So they're growing nicely. And I've got bird netting all around this to protect it from the birds and rabbits. Rabbits can't get in there. We'll come over here. Here's my pears, common pear. And this tree is probably 12, 13 feet tall now. And I've got pears. It's already flowered and it's set fruit. And these are what the pears are starting to look like, and they'll grow all summer long, probably into the end of August and September, and then they'll be ready for harvest. But I've got a lot more pears growing this year than I did last year, so that tells me that this tree, as it gets bigger, it's pumping out more pears, and that means more fruit for me to eat. So it's always exciting to watch your trees produce fruit. fun to watch them grow. And here's my peach tree, which down here this is peach season. You're watching them grow. By the end of next month in May, these will probably be ready for picking, and you can see how beautiful they are. And this is the Florida King peach. That's the variety, Florida King. And you got to see this, every branch has peaches on it. So much that the tree is lopped over. You can see all the clusters of peaches in here. Every branch. And it's like, it's real easy to think that, oh hey, I'm not getting that many, but when you start picking these, you realize that's a lot of fruit. And you can't possibly eat them all. That's why it's always nice to give them away to friends, people that that you consider good friends that'll enjoy them. And these peaches are super delicious. All these branches are loaded. And this tree has gotten taller, and you can see a lot. This is at the very top up there. You can see clusters of peaches right there. And they're all up and down this branch. And we had a ice storm this year back in the end of February, believe it or not. And these branches were covered with ice, and it caused them to lop over. It put stress on these branches, and you can see the stress fractures here on the bark. You can see this area in here. And so with the ice storm, in addition to the tree producing a lot of fruit, I didn't want these limbs to break, so I braced them with these 2x4s. And it really helps protect your tree against these branches snapping. And I'm hoping these limbs will heal up. And after the fruit is all picked off of this tree, I'm going to take the braces down and see how the branches are doing. If they've straightened up some, if the tree is healed, I'm just going to take the braces down, but for now I'm going to leave them on there. But with all the extra weight of this fruit, I don't want to take those supports off just yet. But these peaches are growing very nicely. It almost makes me want to pick one off and eat it right now, but they're not ready. They're the size of a golf ball right now, and they'll probably double or triple in size by the time harvest comes. So got all these peaches here, and you can can these in jars, you know, to preserve them, which I think I'm going to do that this year, is can them. And I've got some that are frozen, that I've cut them up and froze them, some in plastic bags, and you can take them out and use them in pies, or you can use them in fruit smoothies, grind them up in the blender. And you can just also just simply eat these. I've eaten numerous from last year, numerous peaches. They're just so good right off the tree. Anyhow, you can see how I braced a lot of the branches. And they're just simple 2x4s, and I cut a V-notch in them at the end. So you can see, just took a skill saw and put a V in there just to kind of hold them in place. And I've got another video featured on my channel that you can go back and look at. Basically the same thing. And so I have a total of 6 braces on this tree, and the other trees I didn't have to worry about. My other tree is my plum tree over here. This is a methyl plum, and this is my very first fruit tree that I planted here in my backyard, and it has produced fruit. I think the first year I had it, they were it was a small tree, but it had produced a lot of fruit on it. It was at least a dozen delicious plums, probably the size of in between a golf ball and a tennis ball. But I've never had them that size since. But you can see this year I've got plums growing here, and I don't know, this one's actually already turned purple. I don't know if it's ready to eat, but I guess you just kind of squeeze it. And I'm gonna pick this one just to taste it. And it's not sweet yet, even though it's purple. It's not sweet, it's more tart. And so they've got some growing to do. But you can see on the ground, the tree will shed them just on its own from the wind blowing. Like you can see them laying here on the ground. And whatever it does lose, you know that I've got rabbits in my backyard, so I don't know if they eat these or not, but they won't go to waste. The birds will eat them, even though they're sour and not ready. Here's a nice dark purple one right there. But the tree has quite a few of them on there this year. They're still green. And like I said, they're turning purple. But I don't think the tree has enough sugars in them yet. I'm gonna pick this one. This one looks like it's had some bugs eating it or something. I'm just gonna shed that one, and it was part of that cluster right there anyhow. So sometimes when you thin them out, it kind of helps the tree to grow better fruit by thinning them out if they're in clusters. But yeah, there's lots of plums on it this year compared to last year. And I'm going to keep working on this tree, trying to find the right amount of fertilizer and just finding out what the tree likes. I've been watering it like crazy, so I think that's been helpful. But it's a nice tree. It has when the fruit is nice and ripe and it's sweet, there's plums are really delicious. So, and two of my latest things that I've done here is, you can see I have planters all along my fence here, and I've got two 100-gallon Rubbermaid water troughs. You can buy those at Tractor Supply, that I've just simply filled up with garden soil, and I plant peppers and tomatoes in these two. And then I just built these over the weekend. These are basically half barrels, and they are food grade barrels. You can pick these up anywhere, like on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or places like that. And I think I paid like $20 per barrel. And there was, I believe in these, egg whites or eggs in this barrel, so it's food grade. And you just simply cut it in half the long way. And then I built like a cradle around it. And you can see that I've got a brace that runs down the center in case the barrel tries to drop, which I don't think it will. It's just there for support. And then you just build a 2x4 cradle around it. It's pretty easy to do. And I built two of them, one for each half. And I've got my basil, I've got cilantro, I've got oregano, and I believe I have some, looks like squash growing there. And make really good, perfect size for your herbs. If you like herbs like basil, any of your culinary style plants, this works perfectly for it, because they're just like the size of a 55-gallon drum barrel, but you just cut it in half. And I've got garden soil in there. And then I'd planted some peppers and tomatoes from seed, and they're starting to kind of sprout. And I got some butter baby squash there, winter squash. So you can do whatever you want with it. These work out to be really nice planters, and they're at about 3 feet tall, so they're waist level. And I really like how those turned out. So if you got basic carpentry skills, you can do that. It's not that hard to do. You just use a reciprocating saw to cut the barrel down, cut it in half the long ways. And you could also use a skill saw. You could use any type of saw that'll cut through plastic. Most saws will. So if you're looking for a good barrel, or I guess a planter, that's one way you can make one. So kind of give you a quick rundown. That's how things are growing, and I've got some more grapevines over here, and they seem to be doing well. This is their second year. These are native to Texas, and we'll see what the tag. It's a type of a muscadine grape. I don't have the name of this particular muscadine grape, but they seem to be growing nicely. I put some cattle fencing along the fence here for them to grow on, and I have 2 of those. Here's the other one. So it's focusing on growing. The vines are starting to expand, and everything's nice and green. So I just keep watering it and feeding it. And they do really well in hot weather. Like I said, they're native to Texas. You usually see them along the eastern seaboard, but they do well in Texas because Texas gets hot. So I appreciate you watching this video. If you enjoy fruit trees and gardening, I hope this video was something that entertained you. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. And I hope you all have a great day. Take care, and we'll see you on the next video.